full Canada 2011 race, which is one of the most exciting races of all time.
Wow.
It's really good. And it's insane, and it's fun, and it's always worth a watch.
All right, looks like we are probably live.
Yeah, we are.
Looking good on Mixer. Live on YouTube or Twitch. Okay, we'll give everybody a second here to join, and then we'll get started. Let me get my notebook over here. Cannot wait to get my mic arm up and running. And the reason why I can't use it is not only do I need an adapter, but like I was unscrewing stuff and moving it around on my mic stand here to try and get it to fit on my mic arm, and like my pop filter started going all floppy, and like the shock mount, the elastic on the bottom, like isn't stretching anymore. It's like, okay, I need to buy everything over again except for the mic. I need all this stuff to be new. Hey there, T-Bomb Rocks.
My wife.
So they got rid of.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say real quick, with my wife trying to work from home, she's decided that she's going to move into my office and use all 3 of my monitors. And she's like, well, yeah, exactly. And she's like, well, how would we do that? And I'm like, the quickest way would be to buy a KVM switch, and I'm not very fond of that idea.
Yeah. I love KVM switches, but they're also like powered by dark magic.
Yeah.
No, they got rid of Reggie from the emotes.
Oh no. That's because he went to GameStop. They're like, oh, that's a step too far.
Yes.
Reginald. What is Reggie?
Well, he doesn't start until 420, which tickles me every time.
What is Reggie's first name? Reggie?
Reginald.
Haha, got it.
Come on.
Figured you out, Reginald.
Reginald
Phil Johnson.
No, that doesn't work. Reggie. That doesn't work either.
Bummer.
My body is ready. No, that doesn't work either.
All right, are you guys ready to go start this thing? Start the show. Starting a touchdown. All right, woo, let's do it.
Clearly.
Holy shit. I'm not
Do I
ready.
still have Pop-Tart in my beard?
No.
Good.
Okay. I am not ready, but are you, gents?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Kind of.
Let's get started in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another episode of That Video Game Podcast. Wash your hands. I'm your host, Boston. Joining me as always is Moonpier.
Hello.
And the Nymph.
Hello.
I have a brand new episode of TVGP's Game Club out right now, where we broach the topic of our burgeoning Stardew Valley problem, and what it means to fulfill
First taste was free.
Yeah, and what it means to fulfill our generational wishes. So this one, episode went some places. I would recommend all of our episodes of Game Club are really good, as are every show on this network. But
well,
85% of this, but this one I think is especially good. Even if you don't like Stardew Valley, I think we get into some meat about what makes Stardew Valley so successful from a game design standpoint. And I think it turned out to be a really great listen. So, if you're listening to the audio version of this, it's out right now. If you're watching the video version, I did not edit it last night because I was too tired. So it will be out soon. So please enjoy. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. All cool behind the scenes, early access, pew, 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 all that great stuff. $5 a month. That's a recommended one. Thank you for being a patron. I really appreciate it. Let's dive into what
you get the unclean version of us as well.
Yes, the forever unclean edition of this show.
The version of us before we wash our hands.
That's right. That's right. All right, let's dive into what you've been playing this past week. Moon.
Okay, Stardew.
Yeah, so
Game
much.
Club, go listen. I'm actually excited because this might be one of the first times we've done a Game Club where Boston is forced to talk about it consistently for weeks after the Game Club has already been done.
Yeah. I
So
played a
I'm looking
bunch
forward
today.
to that. Yes!
Yeah.
Cannot wait for this to get more and more
Farming some
talked
Omni
about.
Geodes. You know, doing
Yep.
what you do.
Exactly. Okay, so yeah, Stardew, go listen to the Game Club episode. I'm
I-
sure Boston will have plenty of updates.
I do have to say, my next goal, just to talk about goals here, my next goal is I'm waiting for summer to come around so I can catch a sturgeon, so I can put it in my fish pond, so I can get it to make sturgeon roe, so that I can make that into caviar, so I can put that in the abandoned Jojo Mart shopping center. So I can finish that bundle and turn it into a movie theater. It's the last thing I need to do. I have a problem.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Stardew Valley's so good.
1000%. Yes, it is.
Man.
Oh, wow. But yes, okay. Stardew, talked about that already, so we'll just give a quick scribble. Played some more Riverbond. And when I say played Riverbond, I mean I finished Riverbond, which I think I talked about when I first started playing it. This is the top-down, isometric, Minecraft-looking action game.
Yeah.
Yes. It's not bad. If you have kids, play it with your kids. It's got local co-op. It's up to like 4 players, I think. It's fine. It doesn't test me in the slightest. I'm just going to hit X a whole bunch, and then when you die, it just respawns you, and the world is the exact same shape that it's been in since you died. So there is zero punishment to it. It's a pretty decent, let's just switch my brain off and smash things with a sword kind of game. So I finished that thing up, uninstalled it, along with like 5 other games, which I know I'm not going to get too soon, because I'm feeling the familial pressure from everybody I know talking about getting the Modern Warfare thing.
Yeah,
Drop zone, load zone, whatever it's called.
Warzone.
Yes. Everyone seems to be getting it, and my wife is getting really into it now too. And it's like,
I just deleted it this week because a patch came out for Division 2, and like it said you can't install this because you don't have enough free space. And it's like, okay, cool, but when that notice would go off in my PS4, it would just pop back up. So it's just like this thing that was always on the side of my PS4. It's like, okay, I will delete this 100 gig Call of Duty game that I enjoyed, but not enough to play it. So just please install this patch and leave me alone.
yeah, I believe my exact quote when my wife mentioned possibly downloading it. I think my response was, I cannot afford 100 gigs right now.
Right.
Which is the kind of a good way to phrase it, because it's like, yeah, just like time, just like currency, space is now you know, something of value that I have to be
At
able
a
to
premium.
afford or not afford. Yeah.
Yeah.
Her response was, well, delete some stuff.
How dare? Do you know who I
So
am?
I know I did, because I was like, you know, Rage 2 is on Game Pass. I haven't started it yet. I'm never going to play Rage 2 because it's like 40 hours and I've got other more different shooters to play coming up.
And everyone says it's fine, but not great. So, like, why would you prioritize that over something else?
Exactly. So I just like uninstalled that, which was like 50 gigs in of itself.
Oh, wow.
I uninstalled like 3 other games. I've still got Darksiders War Mastered Edition ready to play. 2 of my favorite games of the 360 generation I have, which is Batman Arkham Asylum, the remake, and War Mastered Edition for Darksiders. It's like, I have them. I just need to install them and play them. But too much stuff is coming out all the time.
Yeah.
And there's too many games as a service games, so I just can't anymore.
Yeah.
I just can't. It's terrible. But yes, I beat Riverbond and then promptly uninstalled it. It's not bad. It's okay. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay.
You telling
enjoy
us or
this.
yourself? I mean,
Yeah.
Honestly, it feels like a game made for kids, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. But it treats you like you're an idiot, and that's kind of annoying sometimes.
Well, like the Minecraft Dungeons that's coming up later this month, early next month. It's like, here's a hack and slash Diablo that's very clearly made for kids, and it looks like the difficulty has been tuned way down, and that's okay.
Yes.
No big deal.
I played some Far Cry 4, and when I say I played Far Cry 4, I mean I looked on TA. There was a multiplayer boosting session coming up. I signed up for said multiplayer boosting session. I got my final achievement for Far Cry 4.
Congrats.
Guess what's getting uninstalled?
Yeah. I actually saw that tweet pop up that said that you beat it. I'm like, oh, that's a... Huh, didn't see that coming.
It was, literally, I had 49 out of 50 from the base game, and the only one I needed was the play every type of multiplayer game mode. It's like, there's a reason I hate multiplayer achievements. Right. This is one of them. Because we started it like a year after it came out, and by that time, it was dead.
It's just a ghost town.
No one's still playing Far Cry at that point.
Yeah.
But yes, Far Cry 4, I might do the DLC. We have it. We probably picked them up when they were like $3, but I've got 2. The Escape from the Prison and the Yeti one. I've got them both. I might play it, I might not. The snob side of me cannot help but notice that this was 100% a cross-generational game. Because when you're in the multiplayer menu on my 4K HDR TV, I can see the pixelized outline of the start button in the bottom right-hand corner, like which is very clearly a low-res JPEG that they just pulled from the 360 version. It's just like, come on, dude, it's got squares in it. The PlayStation, like, it's got square edges all around the circle. It's like the wheels on Gran Turismo on PlayStation 1 were less jagged than this. It's like, put a little effort in. It's just a slightly higher res image. That's all you got to put in there.
Yeah.
Where it's like, yeah, okay, whatever, fine. So I got all that stuff. I might play the DLC. I might not. We'll see.
I've heard Yeti is fine, but I heard the other one isn't that great.
Yeah, the other one is literally 2 missions, I think, on the prison one. It's like escape the prison. Okay, cool, whatever. Do play some more Yakuza 0. I am now up to chapter 12.
Okay.
I am grinding so hard against all of... Wait. Phrasing.
Wait, hold on.
Because
and Majima's a little wild. You never know.
I'm about to start talking about Majima, so I don't want the grinding to be misconstrued, because I'm technically doing the Cabaret Club missions right now. It's I'm at that point where it's like, okay, I need 100 million yen to upgrade one of my things, but I also need to use that money to invest in shops so I can get fans, so I can go into the cabaret battle against the other cabaret clubs.
Like the Mars Club. Yeah.
I knocked out 4 of the 5 millionaires in Kiryu's story, and then I was like, I'm just going to do something else. So I went and finished the chapter and then moved over to Majima. It's like, oh great, now I gotta do it all again.
I never did the last millionaire because it was like, by the time you get to that last area, like you said, like each building, even like the tiniest little shack, is like, you need 150 million yen. It's like, well, this one over here is like 2 billion. It's like, I can't.
No, dude, it's not 150 million. The cheapest in the new area, in the final billionaires area, is like 315.
Okay. So yeah, it is a significant investment, even post game where like all of your stuff is multiplicatively growing. It's still a lot where you're just
I'm spending more time running back to the office to stop and start the payouts than I am doing anything else in the game. It's like, I might as well literally do that, stand outside, let it idle, then go back in and do it. It got ridiculous for a while, so I'm taking a step back from that, and now I'm doing the Cabaret Club stuff, which is fun, and the Cabaret Club minigame is hilarious. I have my 2nd Platinum hostess now, and the lady who used to work for the first of the 5 clubs thing, whatever her name is. But, I mean, I'm just running around, doing stuff. I barely explored with Majima when I was playing as him, so there's a lot going on still in his side of the stories. So I'm just hang around doing that kind of stuff, still enjoying it, but now I'm literally at the grind point with it, and it's just like, I could finish the story and stop, or I could keep playing and get them sweet chivos for finishing the 2 stories.
Right.
You already know what my answer to that is.
I do. And it means more playing Yakuza, which is great.
Yes, it does. Especially when I unlocked Super Hang-On.
Yeah.
And I unlocked Fantasy Zone.
Yeah.
Fantasy Zone is a broken game. I hate Fantasy Zone.
It's not one of my favorites.
It's terrible. But My final game this week, and I'm very disappointed in myself, particularly, because my final game this week is a little-known game called Doom Eternal.
I haven't had a chance to play this, and I'm so upset about it. I have a copy.
So, it's good.
Okay.
It's very good that you haven't had a chance to play it yet, because I got some sweet pro tips coming up real soon.
I'm super pumped. All right, I'm ready.
So, first and foremost, I'm on the last level. This is why I'm disappointed with myself.
Wow, okay, so, yeah.
Don't get me wrong. I started this at 9 a.m. on Friday morning.
Well, you're not saying the game is short. You're saying you put in the work.
I'm saying I literally didn't play anything other than Doom Eternal for the past 2.5 days.
Right.
So, Boston, you've got it on a PlayStation, correct?
Yeah.
You're screwed.
Okay.
And this is not a slam against the PlayStation. This is not, oh, how crap it is because you got it on the lesser of the consoles. You best get to reconfiguring them buttons, bruv.
Okay.
So, first, let's do the positive first. The game looks amazing. I'm doing 4K HDR, the whole Shazam, 60 frames a second. It runs smooth as silk every single time. No matter how many monsters are on the screen, it's running absolutely fine. It sounds amazing. They've got the same artist back for the sound, I think, because the soundtrack is just as killer as it used to be.
Yeah.
Yes. The HDR looks fantastic too, and there's so many variables on that setting. It's unbelievable.
Nice.
It's got, like, the thing with 2016 Doom was how good it felt to play.
Yeah.
Because it felt so good to be literally running around at 80 mile an hour, just doing that loop.
Yep.
Like, you're in the combat arena, you're doing the circle loop. And this is where my biggest complaint with the game comes in. Because in 2016, there was basically two things, if I remember correctly. There was shoot people, you run out of health, you do the glory kills. You run out of ammo, you do the chainsaws.
Yeah.
Nice and simple. It's a 3-circle loop. It's like shoot, chainsaw, glory, shoot, chainsaw, glory, shoot, chainsaw, glory, in whatever order you needed at the time. So, I'm pulling up my tablet for those audio listeners here because I have a list.
We refer to my notes here.
Yes. You will need to redo the controls, Boston, because that loop now consists of chainsawing to get ammo.
Right.
Glory killing to get health, blood punching. Not even going to go into that. Let you discover that on your own.
Blood punching.
There is the flame belching, which gets you armor.
Right.
Then there's grenades. Then there's a sword, and there's ice grenades, and that whole thing are each individual buttons on your controller.
Heaven help me.
Now, here is the problem. If you're trying to do a 360 loop around an arena while avoiding the big monsters behind you, using the little monsters to get your stuff back up, they actually refer to them now as fodder demons, which tickles me to no end.
That's really good. You just call them what they are.
Yeah, so like the little imps and stuff like that, they are literally referred to as fodder demons because that's how you get your health and ammo and stuff.
Right.
And if you clear a combat arena out and there's only one big guy left, they'll constantly spawn in 2 little fodder demons just in case you need health, just in case you need ammo.
Okay.
They'll spawn them in. They barely scratch you, when it comes to damage, so it's fine. But how are you supposed to... So by default, right trigger fire, left trigger, alternate fire. Simple enough. What does right bumper do again? I can't remember what right bumper does again.
Grenades, probably.
Yeah, no, that's left bumper.
Okay.
What does it? I don't know. Whatever right bumper does, it does something. Oh, no, that's right stick. But now you've got the double dash, which is the dash move. You've got a jump. The dash, the chainsaw, and something else are all on face buttons. How are you supposed to turn and hit the face button at the same time while trying to move around this arena?
Right.
It becomes very, very difficult to try and do jumping, dashing, spinning around. And I'm not playing it on the hardest difficulty. Let's get this out of the way. I'm playing on default, which has hurt me plenty.
Right.
The second difficulty down. I'm not playing it on Nightmare or anything like that.
God, no.
I am saved because I have an elite controller.
Oh, so you got a whole bunch of paddles.
So I whipped out my paddles,
Right.
and I put jump on the bottom right paddle and then dash on the bottom left paddle. And now I can fully rotate and maneuver myself, jump and dash and dodge and do everything like that. And then the only thing I need to worry about is flame belching, chainsawing, and, switching my grenade type out. Much stuff.
I am now very curious to fire this up and see what the default scheme on PS4 looks like.
Oh, honestly, it's probably the same, which is all of the extraneous stuff is on the Facebooks. Oh, the Facebooks. The face buttons.
The Googles.
Yes,
well, and
the Googles.
Some games do a good job of, if they need to use a modifier, sometimes you'll be able to swipe on the touchpad, where it's like, grenades will be swipe right and something else will be swipe left. Doesn't always work super well for faster paced games like this, but sometimes that stuff can work pretty well.
The thing with me is I have died a lot in this game. A lot.
Yeah.
Because I will just, before I started using the paddles, I was using just the standard controller layout. And I literally would I'd run into a wall by accident because I'm not looking where I'm going, or I'm not turning around because I'm trying to do the flame belch and then chainsaw somebody, and at the same time move away. And some of the new demons are so quick.
Yeah.
So fast. Before you know it, you're running into a wall, and then you've got 3 big demons pushing you into that wall, and you cannot move.
Oh, okay.
And it's like, okay, well, that's me dead because I just got cornered and then ramshackled by all of these stupid demons. And it's like, difficulty-wise, I mean, don't get me wrong, it's the one I'm playing on is difficult, but the only thing that's been frustratingly difficult is moments like that, which I solved with the paddles. I'm not going to lie. I did like 4 levels without them, and then I started bumping my head against it, and I was like, oh, what can I do? I'm just going to... Because if I remember right, I think I did the same thing for 2016. I think I literally used my paddles for the exact same reason.
Right.
So I pulled them out, and I started playing with them, and it took me some time to get used to them again. But then as soon as I'm used to it, like, I've flown through like 9 levels in the game now with very little issue.
Right.
Except for the special challenge rooms.
Oh, right.
Where it literally says, find this key, it's a secret, on the level. Find it, open this door, these are very intense battles.
Okay.
Have fun.
Okay. All right, well, it's nice about it, at least.
Maybe come back later when you're better prepared.
Aha. Okay.
Yes. So you can take the BFG into level 1 and then just go poop and watch everybody die.
Yeah,
and
there
it's
we go.
Great. But I don't know how I feel about this game because, okay, so story-wise, gameplay-wise, it feels great. It feels fantastic. Just the way Doom 2016 did it feels incredible. Story-wise, if I wasn't reading every codex, I'd be lost.
That's a problem for a shooter.
But not really, because Doom is literally you boots on the ground, go shoot things.
And that's what it should be like. That's what part of what I liked about Doom 2016 is Doom guy is back from the dead. He's really angry, and if a computer doesn't do something, he's going to punch it and then rip the door open. Like, he doesn't care.
Yes.
And there are like 2 other characters in the game, and he's going to punch them in the face too.
Yep. My favorite part about the 2016 Doom opening is literally when Sam comes over the computer at the very beginning of the game. Is like, so here's the situation, here's what's going on, and he literally throws the monitor against the wall.
Yeah, he's just like, I don't care.
I don't care.
I gotta get to punching these demons, man.
So, story-wise, it starts in a strange place, and it just gets weirder from there.
Does it continue the story from the previous one?
Yes-ish.
Okay.
Ish. Also, it appears that Doom 2016 is a direct sequel to Doom 2.
Right. I have heard portions of that, yes.
They go some places. Like I said, okay, so if you didn't read the lore in Doom 2016, like go in the codex and read all that stuff, you should, because it's usually hilarious or genuinely interesting.
Yeah, and there's not a ton of it in 2016.
No, there's even less of it in this, to be honest. Like each monster doesn't have 3 entries; they have 1, and that's it. So there's a lot less of that stuff here. There's pan-dimensional beings.
Oh, okay. Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Think about where Doom is set, and then flip it, and you'll have an idea of what you might be looking at in this one.
Gotcha.
Doom guy might be God.
Sure. That checks out.
Or not the God. God.
Right.
Because of reasons which I literally cannot talk about.
Sure.
There is a cutscene and he's literally just screaming rip and tear the whole time.
Great. Why not?
Yeah.
Lean all the way into that. I like it.
There's one-ups. Speaking of mechanics.
Okay.
You now have lives.
Interesting. Okay.
This completely slipped my mind until you said lean into it, and I remembered hearing him talk about leaning into it being a video game. It's like, yes, you have done that, because everything is neon now. Here is a shotgun. It is neon green. Go get it.
Yeah, that's my stuff.
Here is a power-up. It is neon purple. Go get it.
Yeah.
And their defense of it was, look, you're running at 60 mile an hour in Doom. It needs to be visible with a split second.
Yep.
You need to know what that color is immediately because you're moving so quick.
That's true.
I'd get it. That's cool. Why is there a one-up?
Yeah, although I have heard people saying that you can change the difficulty in the middle of a level and it doesn't like roll you back to a checkpoint or anything. It just you stay in the spot you're at and it just tones the difficulty down.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can change the difficulty on like the pause menu. So many options in this game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So the whole thing with the one-ups are if you run out of life, it gives you full health and you just continue the battle you're in.
Wow,
no loading checkpoints, nothing like that.
Doom guy just gets angrier.
Pretty much, because the screen goes black and white and he screams and then it just keeps on trucking.
That's really good.
The one-ups are mostly in secret locations, and there is a new game mode in it called Extra Life Mode or something, where you start with 3 lives. If you lose 3 lives, you are done. Your save is deleted.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
So you can get like extra lives throughout the levels, like
Diablo
do explorations.
yeah.
There's secrets, stuff like that. They'll have one-ups in there, and it's really handy when you're in the middle of one of those intense battles with one person left, and then you die, and it just says extra life used, and you kill him, and it finishes the level rather than having to redo the whole fight again.
Right. That is nice.
And then it's really annoying when you don't have extra lives and you have to redo the fight 20 times to try and actually get the fight done.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about this game. I genuinely don't.
That's the thing that I've been feeling from what everyone's been saying online over the last couple days is I'm seeing a lot of different feedback about the game. A lot of people are saying, and I'm trying not to let this color my impressions of the game, having not yet started it, but I'm seeing a lot of people having issues with specific stuff that I'm trying not to dig into because I haven't started, but a lot of people are saying this isn't the sequel I was expecting of Doom 2016, and that is really good and really bad at the same time.
Yeah, because everybody assumed that this was essentially
Doom 2. Here's just more Doom, man.
Everybody assumes that Doom 2016 is a basic reboot of the entire franchise. Here is Doom, this is the guy, whatever.
They're going to do Hell on Earth again, because like the trailers had buildings, like Earth buildings. So it's like, okay, cool, you're just making Doom 2 at this point, and that's great.
The trailers had a pentagon emblazoned on North America, so yes.
Yeah, like it would be pretty clear, yeah.
Yeah. So the thing that makes me laugh is a lot of people will just expect, okay, this is Doom 2, same game, just number 2. This is Doom 2016, as this game reveals, is a sequel to Doom 2.
Right.
So the fact that it's a sequel to Doom 2, or maybe Doom 3, I don't know, I didn't play 3, or I don't know anything about 3, so
I think they're largely retconning
ignoring
3. Yeah, because Doom 64 that they just released with the additional stuff apparently bridges Doom 2 and Doom 2016, so I think they're just largely writing
course.
Doom 3 out.
Yes, so that whole part of the arc is really, really good.
Mm.
Doom Guy is older than you think. I'll say that right now.
Okay.
And then there's a lot of stuff going on in the background which explains some of his new styles and attributes and stuff like that.
Sure.
The lore is interesting. It genuinely is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
It's not told anywhere near as well as 2016. Because 2016, it was told first person. You did not need to read any codex thing in 2016 to get the gist of what was going on.
Yeah, and get the mythology of the Demon Slayer.
Yeah, spoiler for Doom 2016, the guy called Sam Hayden, Hayton, is the bad guy.
Ta-da!
Who would have guessed?
Yeah, the evil robot, yeah.
Yeah, but that whole story is told without any need to look at the codex.
Yeah.
The second I started this game, I was like, where am I? What's going on?
Right.
Why am I in this big fortress in space? Who are these people? Who are those people?
Those are all great questions.
What's this spaceship?
Right.
What's going on? Why do I have a teleporter? Why is Vega still helping me? I thought something went wrong with Vega at the end of the last one, but sure, whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah. There are things afoot that I don't really know, and I am reading every codex entry because they are good.
Yeah.
They introduce a very interesting place that this game series could go in a Doom 3 kind of scenario.
Right.
Not the old Doom 3, more like a new Doom 3 with
Doom 3 2023.
Yes.
Right.
They open up the possibility space for this series a lot. But at the same time, I don't like the storytelling as much as I liked it in 2016, because I think the thing with 2016 was nobody expected that.
Yeah.
Nobody. You find me a person who heard Doom is getting remade. It's been cancelled and restarted twice.
Right.
Now we're releasing it in 2016. You find me someone who is excited about that game.
Brad Shoemaker story, especially.
Yeah. Same as Wolf. As Wolf.
That's true.
Like 2 games that nobody was interested in, and all of a sudden they play great, they feel great, and they have given a story to 2 not faceless, but ambivalent white guys, and made you care about them. Yeah.
I mean, Doom Guy still doesn't even have a real name. They just call him either Doom Slayer or Doom Guy, even in game.
Yeah.
Now they also throw in Doom Slayer because of reasons.
Yeah.
He's also the Destroyer in this one, which I think is pretty funny.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
But there isn't even the Hell Bible in this game. Why?
That's a bummer.
That was my favorite thing in Doom 2016. It was the first time you go to hell.
Stuff like first person from the demons. Yeah.
Like you go there in hell, you hit that button, and then the first audio log you get in hell is all about how you are a nightmare. Right. You are the physical embodiment of pain and suffering.
Has returned.
So it's so good.
Yeah.
Obviously, I like the game. I almost beat it in 2 days. I like the game a lot.
Remind everyone that you marathoned it, so like it's clearly not an unlikable video game.
Mechanically, it's just as good as it ever was. I say that with the caveat of I'm using my paddles.
Yeah. Because
I really wasn't. I was less sure at the end of the 4th level than I am now. Now that I've got the paddles in and I've got that movement and jumping and stuff like that down, I feel so much better about the game than I did at the end of that level 4, where it's just like I'm struggling.
Yeah,
not
coming together. Yeah.
But Doom 2016/2 Doom Eternal, it's interesting. I'm looking forward to finishing this last level to see if it goes where I think it's going to go, where I hope it's going to go. And I also played some of the versus mode in it, whatever that thing is called, battle mode.
Yeah, something like that. It has a weird name.
Yeah, that's intense. Real intense. There's nothing quite like a Doomacorn jumping around and double jumping and shooting 2 other human-controlled demons in the face.
Right.
I felt really good.
Yeah. And it sounds like you need like a couple of days to digest the game. Because it sounds like you're still sort of in flux of like, I'm liking what I'm playing, but I'm not 100% sold on everything. And it sounds like you just haven't digested all your thoughts yet.
It's one of the reasons why I'm disappointed with myself is because literally before we started today, I was loaded the last level in the game because it's called the final blank. Like, I'm not going to say the blank part because that's a spoiler.
The blank is countdown.
Yes. I hate you so much. But I started that and I was like, well, time to switch this off and go and record the show.
And like tear yourself away from your Xbox.
I had to rip myself off the couch and tear myself away from the Xbox.
Final episode, TVGP.
It's one of those things where it's like, if the lore leads somewhere positive, this could be fantastic. If it goes somewhere bad, I might end up saying, play it mechanically, ignore the story.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, mechanically it's still great. It's still fantastic.
Yeah, it's still Doom.
If you have those buttons on your controller. Otherwise, don't hurt me daddy difficulty the whole way because this game gets hard real fast.
I've heard it's very difficult, yeah.
Yes. But yeah, it's fun. It's Doom. It's Doom Eternal, and I'm enjoying it so far. Tune in next week for the summation of the last level of the game.
I'm hoping to start it this week and make some serious progress on it to try and get my own thoughts together for next week's episode.
It's a lot more violent than Doom.
Yeah, that's
just as a heads up, with children around.
It's gonna be a challenge. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, but yes, that's all I've been playing. Over to you, Nimp.
Okay, so during this week, played Rocket League. Not really a whole lot to do with that. Son and daughter wanted to play it for a bit, so we hopped on, played a couple rounds. It's still all right.
still Rocket League, still trucking.
Since I got the platinum forever ago, I guess I don't care as much anymore.
Yeah, you finished it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Uninstall it. Let's go.
I still have plenty of hard drive space, so I'm not worried about that. Next game that I had played was Call of Duty. I played a lot of the multiplayer, just doing dailies, and a lot of Warzone. There are people that I watch for streamers that I'd been playing with. Mm-hmm. And we played a ton of games this week for them. And the last one that we played, we decided to just kind of not really try and see how far we got. Mm-hmm. And we landed on top of a huge apartment building, stayed up there for probably about a good 10 minutes before we finally had to move because of the circle, which turned out to be a slightly bad idea because there wasn't a whole lot of equipment in that apartment building. So we parachuted down. One person decided they wanted to get into a gunfight, which was a dumb idea, and they died. And then another guy was trying to snipe somebody else. They died.
Oh, jeez.
So I had to go through and revive everybody. And as soon as I revived somebody, they parachuted in, died. So at this point, we were down to, I think, like 6 teams, and I was hiding in a bush, waiting for the circle to close, and just watching the numbers tick down as everybody slowly killed each other, and managed to get 3rd place out of that one.
That sounds like the ultimate battle royale match.
It was basically... This bush was right on the circle before the gas, so I had pretty much as little of me sticking out of this bush as possible to not take damage from this gas. And as soon as that circle closed more, I just got up and charged the guy that was in front of me and took him down.
Nice.
And then had 6 other people shoot me as soon as I came out of the bush and took that guy down.
So, oh god.
Yeah, it wasn't going to end well either way. I knew it, but I got one. So
there you go.
But yeah, games are surprisingly fun, both multiplayer and Warzone. I did beat the campaign. Story was all right.
Yeah.
From what I remember, it continues the original Modern Warfare story. But I don't know. I don't really pay attention to shooter stories anyway, so
yeah.
they're usually not
went to hell after the UAC factory.
Exactly.
There's Argent Energy, and
That's right. That's right.
But I mean, yeah, the multiplayer is pretty much. I just pop in, do the dailies, hang out with a couple of people, and we just shoot the breeze. That's about it, really.
Yeah.
So, next game that I played is pretty much just an update. It's Elite Dangerous. I am still working on my way towards the center of the galaxy. I am 7,105 light years away from the Sol system. I am working my way to a nebula, the NGC 6357, which is right on the border of our little fun quadrant of the Milky Way galaxy. And it is taking me forever because I keep finding planets that have not been discovered to scan.
Oh, look at that thing.
Yeah, and it's kind of gotten to a point where when I jump into a system, I feel really relieved when I see that somebody has already scanned all of these planets and I can just move on.
Yep.
But yeah, I haven't seen anything crazy yet. I actually changed my route to fly right through the middle of the nebula because I heard that they added a bunch of like space weathering effects and stuff like that.
Oh, cool.
So I wanted to check that out, and they changed how the nebulas look when you fly into them. So I really wanted to look into all that stuff and see what the changes were and how cool everything is. One day I'll get there. Well, there are people that have mainlined it, and they said that they just going straight there, it can take you about 30 hours.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
There are also people who are crazy and have done it within 9 hours. Yeah. So I'm probably looking at like 3-4 weeks of just putzing around in the universe.
Right. But you're taking the scenic route. You're having a little more fun.
Yeah, I'm just goofing off.
Yeah.
I have an objective, and I'm slowly working towards it.
Yeah.
The last big game, my teaser from last week that I played.
That's right.
Yeah, is brought to you by Angel Eye, community member, Star Citizen.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So I have a lot to talk about with this game.
Okay.
A lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of meh.
Okay.
So.
Oh no, I think we lost him.
Yep.
Star Citizen got him.
Perfect timing.
The Star Citizen
Best.
cops came for him. Oh no.
It's because he's about to talk about a game that's not a game. That's what it is.
That's right. Not allowed to.
Yep.
Oh, you can only talk about it on a podcast if you've spent $20,000 on a ship. That's the contract. I don't make the rules. Sorry.
Is that why Vinny can talk about it?
Yeah, I think so.
There we go.
Welcome back.
Apparently, the internet doesn't want me to talk about Skype or Star Citizen or
That's right.
Skype.
Yep.
All right. So, picking up from what I last said.
Which, by the way, what we last got was Star Citizen, nothing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Star Citizen is a really bandwidth-intensive game. Right after, and this is just downloading it, not playing it. Right after our podcast last week, I downloaded it, and it took the majority of my work night before it finally finished.
Wow.
And then installed. They suggest that you have an SSD. I do not have one. I don't care. So I'm not that guy who's trolling for faster loads and stuff. I can deal with it. But this game is not optimized for any PC.
Okay.
And I say this because I started the game and I was getting 1921 frames per second.
Great.
Maybe.
Great.
And that's just standing there not doing anything. And I don't have a massive rig. I have a Radeon, what was it? R750,
Okay.
graphics card that I just updated to. It's maybe middle of the road right now.
Right.
Maybe a lot
But
less.
It's recent-ish. Like
Yeah.
it's
I
not
can
something
play-
10 years old.
Yeah, I can play everything else that I own. Newer games. I played Gears of War 5 on this PC with no real issues.
It's
So
not like you're using the Intel integrated graphics or anything. You're like, why do I get
Yeah.
5 frames?
So my immediate thought when I was getting crappy frame rates was just because I'm used to never having a computer that could run games. So I was like, oh, maybe this is just too big. Maybe my PC isn't ready for this. until I started digging around and found a lot of stuff online where it doesn't seem to matter if you have a $6,000 rig or a $300 junker. This game does not run that great on anything.
Fantastic.
Yeah. When I loaded it up, it said that I should be able to run this game on high for graphics.
Okay.
And that's what it started me at. And like I said, I was getting real crappy frame rate. Eventually, it would settle where it would hold at 21, but sometimes just standing there, it would drop to 9, not even doing anything. So then I dropped it down to medium, no real improvement, and then I dropped it down to low, and it got worse. I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I did a lot more digging around and found out that you never want to put this game on low settings because it pushes everything from the graphics card to your CPU, therefore giving you even worse performance than you were having before.
Okay,
yeah. Did a lot more digging around and found a bunch of people online who have all these steps that you can do to try to make it work a lot better. One guy had suggested, just prioritize resources to this. As soon as you load up the game, change it so that way it gets high priority for resources. That helped. That actually helped a ton.
Okay.
That bumped me up to about 29, 30 frames per second.
There we go.
I would still have dips flying around. Anytime anything would have to populate, it would just dip back down to 9. And then I found a couple other things where apparently Microsoft also has the game tab feature or whatever gaming
bar, I think.
Yeah. Apparently, even when you look for it, it's not technically running, but it is running in the background.
Yeah.
It hides itself.
Oh yeah.
So I went through and deactivated all of that crap with this 4 to 5 step process.
It is intense.
And jumped back into the game, and all of a sudden I've got steady 31 frames all the way up to 50, depending on what's going on.
There you go.
It's like, all right, cool. But I still get dips down to 9 just randomly.
Of course.
So it's like, all right, cool, I'll deal with it. And it seems like when you first start the game, it's chugging real hard. And if you just let it sit like an old car, eventually it'll even out.
Let it warm up
plays,
a little bit.
It plays fine. So I put it back on high graphics. The game looks really nice. Flying around.
Crytek's engine, wasn't it, that they started it on?
Believe so, yes. Walking around the space stations, walking around your ship, walking into your ship. I mean, that's all really cool stuff. The ships all have massive scales. I've got 2 different ones. One's a Freelancer and the other one's an Anvil. The Anvil's like this tiny little cargo vessel that's probably smaller than a Sidewinder.
Jeez.
Like, my character is almost as tall as this thing is.
That's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, you open up the back bay door, walk into it, close the bay door, walk into the pilot seat, it flips around, and you start turning on all your systems, and away you go.
Cool.
And it's pretty sweet that way. I have also found, not because it happened to me, but if you leave your ship open, other people can just walk in there and gank your stuff.
Oh, no.
Including your ship.
Okay.
Right now, it's not so much of an issue because there's still a lot of bugs with this game, so it doesn't cost anything. You basically claim your ship whenever it blows up or it gets stolen.
Oh, okay.
So you just put in a claim for it, and then you have to wait like 5 minutes, and then a new ship.
3D print your ship.
Yeah, it's basically like the base model of your ship shows up, and you can fly off with it.
Okay.
So that's not really that big of a deal, but I just thought that little bit of a detail was kind of cool, that while you can be invited to walk onto other people's ships, if they just leave it open, you can just walk in there and take it, and it's yours.
Interesting. Okay.
So I have not had that issue before. I rarely see people anywhere in this game. And the one time I did see somebody, we were both... it seems like we were both doing the same cargo delivery mission. And we both spooked each other. We were
there's other people.
Yeah. We had to drop off this item on the other side of this planet, And so you fly there, and I see that there's another ship there, but I'm thinking, okay, this is since I was still new, this is like within the first 5 hours, I'm thinking, okay, this is just a ship that's here for NPCs, whatever.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I go walking in there, and you have to basically walk through a door, hit a button to cycle the air and all that stuff, and then the inner door opens so you can walk in. And that door opens, and I walk in, and there's a guy standing there with a crate in his hands. I have a crate in my hands. We both stare at each other for a second, and then we both drop our crates and draw our sidearms. And then we just kind of stand there and stare at each other for a second, and then chat pops up, and he's like, "Are you here for a mission?" And I'm like, "Just to drop off this box." And he's like, "Okay, I'm going to do mine first and then walk out of here, and then you can do yours."
It's like the FedEx and
right.
UPS guy meeting in real life. It's like, oh, hello. You're delivering here too. Interesting.
But it was just, I haven't even tried to do any sort of combat, because you can do person-to-person combat or ship-to-ship combat. And I haven't tried to do anything. Like, I fumbled trying to figure out how to draw my sidearm, which is the only thing that I had at the time. So that was an interesting experience. But the game still has a ton of weird random glitches. I have fallen through the map because of the frame drop rates. Go ahead.
Objection, Your Honor. I refuse to acknowledge this being titled a game, as it has not been released.
An entertainment experience.
Yeah, you're actually correct. It's been an alpha for like 4 years now.
Yeah.
So
It's a thing.
yeah. So I've fallen through the map. I've had my ship blown up because frame rate dropped, and I crashed into a side of an asteroid. Woke up in the, I guess, like apartment area in your bed. Went to get out of the bed and fell through the map and died again. Which at that point at that point I shut the game off because I wasn't dealing with that.
Yeah.
I managed to trip while holding cargo, and literally could not stand back up. And then found out that this is a known bug, and all you have to do is hit F4, and it changes your camera perspective, and then your character will stand up.
It'll go a little bit faster if you hit Alt F4.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
For every game.
That's right.
So I had that issue where my character stumbled somehow, fell, couldn't figure out how to get him up, shut it down, found that out, turned it back on, and it put me back in my apartment room, got out of there. It happened again where I tripped and fell, not even running or carrying anything. So I'm like, all right. So I hit F4, changes the camera, they stand back up, but now I have a broken arm for some reason.
I like that this is almost like most people's experience with Outer Wilds, where it's just like, oops, I tripped and fell into a black hole. Oh, God.
Yeah.
Yep.
God. But yeah, that's most of the bad stuff for this game. The rest of it, the flying feels a lot like Elite Dangerous. So far, I've only done just cargo missions, which... A kind of cool thing and kind of annoying thing is they don't automatically load the cargo up into your ship. You basically have to go into a vendor and you get like a 3x4 box that you pick up, and you have to transport that to your ship. The biggest problem was that you are walking a lot slower and you can't run while you have a package. So it would take forever. But then I found out that if you just scroll up on your mouse wheel, it makes your character move faster. You know, that only took 10 hours to figure out.
God, this game.
So that aspect's cool, that, you know, you have your package, you walk up into your ship, you can drop the package off so far anywhere in your ship. I've just been doing it in areas that are called cargo because I didn't want to screw the game up. Because I did have one instance where I placed a package onto the ground and it went right through my ship. So luckily I had my freelancer, so I got out of my ship, found the package on the ground underneath the ship, picked it back up, got back into the freelancer, put it back down, and it stayed this time.
I love it. Good God.
Yeah. But then there's other issues that I've been... one more issue that I actually remembered is fueling and repair is a known bug in this game, where you are supposed to be able to fuel and repair at any of the stations. And they have two different types of fuel. You've got your regular hydrogen fuel, which is just you putzing around in space, just normal flying. And then they have your quantum drive, which is basically super cruise. When you get to a pad that you land on, you're supposed to pull up your main menu, and then there's supposed to be like this little maintenance icon that you click on, and then it brings up all these things that you can do to repair your ship, refuel, all that fun stuff. That doesn't work all the time. You can click on it and everything will be red. And playing this last night, I had an issue where I am down to like 300 quantum fuel, so I can't go anywhere outside of normal flight. And I'm down to like 48, I guess, like percent hydrogen fuel for normal flight. So it's like, I'm not going anywhere. This needs to work. So I'm doing like this little dance on the pad, shuffling my ship, because everyone says you have to get it like dead on if it doesn't work, or else it doesn't want to do it. And then a lot of people say, hey, you can turn on the autopilot. It's a feature in the game. Use that, and usually however it lands you is where you can do it. Effing autopilot won't work. So I'm like, okay.
And then you fell through the wall.
No, luckily. But I did land. I shut the game, or the thing off, reloaded it, had it retrieve my ship on the pad, walk into the ship, turn it all on, pull that up, and it let me buy fuel finally.
Yeah, there we go.
Sweet. I get the fuel, fly, I hover up so I can leave the pad. Game drops to 9 frames per second. I crash into the side of the station and die, and I shut it off.
Yep.
Besides that, though,
right,
I see a lot of things that they're trying here, and it looks interesting. I personally would not recommend buying anything into this right now.
Right.
Only because, like, right now for you to buy, I think you have to buy like a package, and I think the smallest package you can buy is $45 to be able to play the game.
Okay.
Which gets you a ship. But the problem is that between updates, they don't have persistence. Oh. So anything that I do right now, next update, it could all be wiped.
Okay.
But the ship that you buy with actual money, you keep that. That's in the system. That's yours. You don't have to worry about it.
Like it's tied to your account, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else that you do with the game could be wiped at any point in time.
Oh boy. Okay.
They're talking about this next patch, because right now they're in 3.8, moving on to 3.9. They're thinking that you might be able to
Question.
go ahead.
Question. Sorry, objection, Your Honor. Shouldn't it be 0.3?
You would think. So they're going to 3.9, and they're hoping to keep money persistence in the game, as well as a couple other things. But they're not sure, and that's only for minor patches. This isn't including major patches. So when they go to 4.0, who knows? And there's still no real big talks on when this game thing is going to move from alpha to beta.
Right.
Even though it's been in alpha for 4 years.
Right.
Shrug.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Yeah.
But besides all this weird back-end system stuff, besides all the weird actual real-life stuff of it sometimes just breaking because it wants to, it's a lot of fun. The game right now is really small. It's only 1 star. There's 3 planets. There's a bunch of moons around the planets, a bunch of stations, and a bunch of areas within that area that you can go to. And they make it feel bigger doing the quantum jumping, because that takes time, just like in Elite, just like with No Man's Sky. But I think that's kind of the issue that I'm having with the game, is that it feels like they're just filling in time to make it feel bigger than it actually is.
That's sort of what it sounds like to me as an outsider. Is like they're kind of just making time.
Yeah, and each instance can hold up to 50 different people. So okay, I can understand that, taking some load time, some hidden load times to be able to get you in there and get everything set up. But I don't see a lot of those people, and I haven't. And I've been to a fair amount of places so far.
Right. Interesting.
But yeah, flying's fine. The mapping is kind of weird, where if you scroll too fast to zoom into something, the map just disappears, and you have to scroll all the way out and slowly scroll in, and then it starts to work. This game has issues. This
Yeah.
thing.
What is
But if it ever comes out to be an actual product, I could see this being a pretty good game if it ever comes out as a product.
Right.
But right now it seems like they're more interested in fine-tuning smaller, littler things that don't really matter, while also trying to fix bugs and stuff that are occurring as people play the game.
Right.
So I don't know. That's kind of my feeling. I feel like they have a potentially good product, but I feel like they're just kind of screwing around.
Like dragging their feet a little bit instead of like, let's focus on stuff.
And I only say that because comparing it with like Elite Dangerous, comparing it with No Man's Sky. I mean, No Man's Sky came out as a hot wreck.
Yeah.
Elite Dangerous, I wasn't there for the launch, but I've heard stories.
Oh, I was.
Heard the elders tell their tales.
Yeah. But I mean, those two games, I mean, No Man's Sky in particular, that game has come a long way within, what, a year or two?
Mm-hmm.
Was that 2017, 2018 that it came out?
Yeah, it hasn't been out for that long.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, you could hear me complain about the last time I tried to do multiplayer in that game, but they fixed a lot of the other stuff in that game that was an issue.
Yeah.
So, and that's a small team compared to this big, what was it, Robertson Space Industry, I think the company is called?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, they've got like this massive
fake name for a fake company who's just there to sponge all your money off you.
But I mean, they have this
rich energy money
to work on this game, and I don't feel it.
Yeah.
You know? So, I don't know. We'll see, I guess, just like everyone else in the future. But it is kind of enjoyable to putz around in it. I'm kind of the mindset of I'm not expecting anything to come of this right now because I don't know what's going to happen the next time they update it. I don't know if I'm going to lose all my progress or what.
Yeah, you don't want to put 100 hours into it and then lose all your stuff. Yeah.
One day, Angela and I are going to get together and play this online together. We've been trying all week, and our schedules keep missing each other. Right. So
I'm excited to hear how that goes.
Yeah, so we'll see. I will probably... And that was the other thing. That guy lied to me. I'm going to call him out right now.
Okay.
He flat out told me, because I made a joke about I will jump into a spacecraft and probably crash into a wall. And he's like, oh, they make it really difficult for you to do that. Liar.
I found a way.
But yeah, we'll eventually link up. I don't know. It's just been a crazy time. So
yeah.
But that, I'm pretty sure, yep, that's everything that I've been playing so far.
All right. Our weekly Dadstony got delayed by a day this week due to some scheduling conflicts. So we played on Friday, which we don't normally do, which means that Trials of Osiris was up because it's from like Friday to Monday at recent. It's during the weekend. So we thought, all right, all three of us that are pretty okay at PvP, let's go in there and see how far we can go. The big thing about basically you purchase a ticket and either 7 wins or 3 losses, and then that ticket has expired. And they do a great thing in Destiny 2 where you can just reset the ticket you have instead of buying a new one. So you can kind of just keep playing without there being any real downside, which is great because you don't have to take 10 minutes to load to the tower to run to the dude to get another ticket and then lose 3 matches and repeat that whole thing. Load times are nuts, Bungie. We got stomped. Like to the point where
shocking.
No, like worse than that. Like we were expecting to kind of how Trials works is when you start your first match, you're supposed to be fighting other people that are on their first match of a ticket. So you're supposed to be fighting people that are at the same spot on their ticket as you are. So the higher you get on a ticket, the harder teams you're supposed to be fighting because you're supposed to be fighting teams that are as good as you are. The thing we didn't realize this week, though, is you get rewarded for 3, 5, and 7 wins, and you get awarded if you go 7 wins without a loss. That's flawless. What we didn't realize this week is the 3 the 3-win reward is a shotgun, which have always been the hot thing in Destiny 2 and Destiny 1. What people were doing, because almost all weapons have random rolls in them now, is they were winning 3 matches, getting that drop, and resetting their ticket to just repeat those 3 wins to get random drops of this shotgun. So
playing dirty pool.
Yeah, like, it's a little bit like you're kind of missing the point. Like, you should be playing as high as you can and then resetting once you lose or you go flawless. So we're fighting against people that have, like, the perfect layout, 3 clan members together that are just, like, coming in and just, like, one-shot stomping us and then just moving on. It's just, like, we're going 0-5 because it's best to 5, and just, like, playing match after match. It's like, who are we fighting that are just like these Destiny Crucible deities that are mowing us over? And yesterday I found out that they were just farming for the shotgun. It's like, okay, so next time we'll try this on a week where maybe an armor piece is the 3-win reward, and maybe we'll have a better time. So
maybe.
That wasn't that good, because we were expecting maybe we'll win 1 and like lose 2 or something, and that, yeah, it went really poorly.
Do you think they would have found a way where like you had to be at the end of your ticket before you could reset it or something to prevent that?
Yeah,
it seems like a real simple thing to just do.
I think Bungie long term made the right decision by allowing you to reset your ticket, because the tickets are your maximum amount of glimmer, the money in game that you can hold is 250,000, and each one of those tickets is 25,000 glimmer, which is like easily the most expensive thing in the game right now. So it's nice because if you want to go flawless, and let's say you play 2 matches and you lose 1, you can just reset at that point and say, all right, this ticket can't go flawless anymore. We're going to start back over, and then you can kind of keep working towards that. But it has the unintended side effect, like a lot of things in Destiny right now, that, hey, we found a way to game the system. Let's go. And it's like, oh, okay, just making it miserable for the rest of us. So
yeah.
I think the intention was right, and just like the Destiny community always does, it's like, we found a loophole, boys. Let's get in there. It's just like, okay, well, fantastic. Thanks. So, but I did play a little bit more Murder by Numbers. Did a couple more puzzles. The first case is opening up a little bit more, where I have multiple locations to inspect, and then I'm finding evidence. You know, you like I talked about a couple weeks ago, you scan the environment, your little robot guy, Scout, finds something, and his camera doesn't work right, so you have to do the Picross puzzle to make the item. I'm getting a lot of stuff now that I can then present as evidence to other characters to then unlock new interview stuff. It's the Phoenix Wright stuff where it's like, what do you think about this? And then it's like, oh, right, I saw him over at this location. And then it's hey, the parking lot opened. And then you go over there and you do that. So not a lot to talk about there. I haven't finished the first case, but it is still really good, and I'm still really enjoying it. Unsurprisingly, because it is a game made for me specifically.
Yes.
as an individual. Yeah. So but that's all I've been playing this week, so let's take a break.
Sweet. We'll go catch up with my wife real quick. She just got back from grocery shopping.
Okay. Let's
spoiler alert, it was a shit show.
Yeah. Let's see what news stories we have here real quick. Well, he's gone 40 stories. Shh. What game is that? I don't care about that. Weekend games. Yes, you can pet the dog. Soccer Wars. I'm excited about that. Animal Crossing New Horizons smashes sales records in the UK. Yep. Kotaku posted, why can't the Doom guy break windows? Next.
Because they're force fields?
Yeah, like... Death Stranding is just $30. That's a good price. World of Warcraft offers double XP. Nintendo has popular Super Mario asset removed from Dreams. It's the least surprising news story, probably, of this year. There's not a lot of stuff happening. Oh, this picture of this pizza looks good. I could go for some pizza.
Oh, fucking don't talk about pizza, dude. Pizza's the best food on the planet.
It is, and I haven't had pizza in months.
Kids are going fucking crazy. Mom's home with food. Shut up, guys. You've had food all week.
We have food in the house.
Yeah.
You've been eating food. Oh, man.
Oh.
All right, since we have a whole bunch of news stories, let's just knock this out whenever you guys are ready.
Yep.
I'm not going to do questions this week because I'm sort of running out of time, and I think we're gonna talk about news stories for a while. So I can
Maybe.
save them for next week.
All right. Once Moon's done eating his Snickers.
Normal.
I mean, he's got to feed himself something. We were just talking about pizzas.
Yep.
Pizza's so good. Yeah. What's Doom Guy's favorite pizza? The most important questions. He likes mushrooms, surprisingly. He's a meat lover type of guy.
Yeah, exactly. Dude,
Double
his
XL meat
catchphrase
lover.
is rip and tear.
Right.
He wants all of the meat and 4 different types of cheese, all double doses, because then he gets to actually rip the thing apart.
That's right. It needs to be like 3 inches thick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Chicago style isn't deep enough for the Doom guy.
Also, Chicago style is gross.
It's all right.
I'm a New York style sort of guy. I want to fold that thing, and I want the grease dripping out of it. That's
I
what
love all styles of pizza for what they are,
that's
except for deep dish.
most positive
I've
segment in the show. I love all pizzas.
I've never had a deep dish that wasn't crazy greasy, like where you bite into it, and it always, like, the crust always feels kind of styrofoamy in a weird way.
Yeah.
But it's like as soon as you bite into that crust, just grease gushes out of it. It's like, what is going on, guys?
Yuck. Yeah. My mic looks weird. What's happening here? Oh, yeah, this is all falling apart. Okay. All right, are you guys ready to get started?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Oh, by the way, really quick, sorry, Nim, can you do me a favor? On your Skype window, right-click your picture in the top right of the Skype window, and just say, unblur my background.
I forgot to
Oh, it is blurred.
There we go. You came back and it was blurred, and I was like, I'm not going to have him do it while we're...
Not in the middle of the show.
Yeah.
It did make me laugh, though, because these gaps here
Yes,
on your
they're not
headphones were crystal clear. So you like lean this way, and it's like, look at how good my curtains look. Look at how good my fingers look in this tiny little area right between my headphones and my head.
Oh, man. All right, starting in 3, 2, 1. Let's talk about releases for the week of March 23rd, 2020. The Legend of Heroes Trails of Cold Steel 3 launches on Steam this week. So the Nymph enjoyed it after probably trying to finish it for about 4 weeks straight, and the game would not let him. So you want a lot of
story. Yeah, it's a little story heavy towards the end, but it's worth playing.
Yeah. Half-Life Alyx comes out on Steam. I believe it's on both Index and Oculus Quest. I believe.
Yeah, I think so.
Don't quote me on that, but I know it's on Index because that's their whole, like, buy it, it comes with it, or whatever. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 comes out, PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch. This is the Musou one. So if that's if One Piece Musou is your jam, here's the 4th one. Or if it's a Musou game, it says 4, but it's like the 20th. Bleeding Edge comes out on PC and Xbox One. This is Ninja Theory's multiplayer melee game, the one that they've had on open beta and technical beta for the last couple of weeks. I haven't heard too many people talking about it, so I'm assuming it's fine. Because if it was incredible, people would be talking about it, and if it was garbage, people would be talking about it. But I think people are playing PSO2. So
yeah,
I don't blame them. PSO2 is pretty good.
And achievements
lastly,
now.
Yeah. Lastly, Saints Row 4 Re-Elected comes out on Switch. So if you haven't played Saints Row 4, I guess you can do that on Switch. That game was good. I enjoyed that. That was... God, there's so many agility warps in that game. I just remember that. God, that game's crazy. All right, let's move on to news stories. Boy, we got a lot here. Microsoft and Sony both did deep dives into their new consoles, and they both attacked them in very different ways. So let's start with Microsoft's here, and I'm going to talk about some stuff here, but we're going to get in the meat of our conversation when we sort of put both of the specs of these consoles side by side, and then we can never talk about teraflops again after this.
Nope, you're wrong. We're still gonna do it. We're still gonna do it.
Never.
We can just start now and just never bring it up.
Yeah. So Microsoft put out 2 really great videos this week. I cannot recommend people watching these enough. The first one was the load time tech demo. It takes the Xbox One X version of State of Decay 2 next to that game running on the Series X, and it just shows raw load times. The Series X1 loads in like 10-15 seconds, and the Xbox One X loads in like a minute and a half. It is a significant improvement. Sony put out one a while ago that showed a very similar improvement for Spider-Man, I believe. So it's nice to see Microsoft put out one where it's like, hey, here's a game that takes forever to load, and here are very significant, tangible speed improvements. The other one they put out is the one that I think is really impressive. It's the Quick Resume tech demo. So they're extending Quick Resume from Xbox One, where you can put your console to sleep and the game is still running when you come back, which was very revolutionary. But now Microsoft is extending that to 5 games at a time. I think 5 is the maximum. So they show someone firing up Ori and playing that, and then firing up Forza, and they're in the middle of a race, and then firing up Hellblade, and they're in the middle of a level. Like you're able to have multiple games. I don't want to say running, because I don't think that's really the right terminology, but it's keeping your current state in multiple games at the same time. So that seems pretty cool. I'm not sure how much I will use that, but
I won't.
I still don't on either current console, and I still don't feel comfortable doing it on the newer ones yet.
Yeah.
Until everyone else starts doing it, and I hear yay or nay. But then I got too much of that RPG background of you just save it.
Right.
You don't ever let it sit. You save it.
Right. They also announced the Velocity architecture, and this is sort of similar to what Sony's doing, but I don't think Sony really has a name for it. This is basically they're leveraging better and faster internals in the machine, including the SSD, to make the loading and processing pipelines super fast. So I think that's where they're really pushing the marketing on this. On here's how we're making all this stuff load super fast. Here's all the internal architecture and like the SDKs and the APIs to make all that happen. They also announced. They didn't really make a big deal about it, but I think this is really interesting. Now it's SDR to HDR conversion. They say with Xbox Series X, existing Xbox games, including recent titles within the ID at Xbox program that don't already have native HDR support, will get the next-gen treatment. Xbox Series X is able to leverage an innovative HDR reconstruction technique, blah, 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 to enhance existing SDR games with no work from developers and no impact to available CPU, GPU, or memory resources.
So let me just detechnify that for everybody listening. Black magic.
Yeah, like there's some dark magic where if your game is SDR right now and you can kind of do nothing, then it automatically gets HDR support.
Sounds cool.
Yeah, like one of those things that I don't know how they're doing it, but great. That all sounds fantastic.
It's all going to be in a tiny little window
That's right.
as it pops up on your TV.
That's right. That's right.
Yep.
They showed off the new controller. Reminder that all the Xbox One peripherals, including the Elite controller, are supported on the Series X. So you don't have to chuck them out. New controller has a redesigned D-pad, where it's sort of concave and kind of it's a disc. They said they were inspired by one of the options on the Elite controller. They have grippy triggers, so some of the textured stuff that they've been doing with some of their controllers, and the new share button, which I'm very happy they have stolen from the other two consoles, because
Yep, they should have done.
Yeah,
they probably should have stolen it for the Elite, to be honest.
They should have stolen it for the second version of the Xbox One controllers with the
Bluetooth
headphone
ones.
jack. Yeah, the Bluetooth ones, because it's really great just pushing or holding that button and just taking a screenshot or taking a video or however they're going to do it. And I like that on both of the other consoles, and I'm glad that's coming to the Series X, because I like sharing screenshots on Twitter, and because I'm weird like that. So let's talk a little bit about Sony's thing here, and then we'll get to the comparison about tech specs, and we'll dive a little deeper into both of those, because this is probably the last time we'll really get a deep dive into hardware, because they're pretty much the same. Sony is talking. So a lot of people said they were pretty bored with Mark Cerny's live stream talk. This was his thing.
Because it was a CDC tech demo.
Yeah, it was
wasn't
a
meant to be
GDC
for everybody.
talk where it's like, let's get some nerds in a room and talk about hardware. And Mark Cerny is just going to like galaxy brain about pipelines for however long you let him go. Like you're not going to be able to stop him.
Well, apparently, too, there's people talking about how the guy didn't blink for like 33 minutes straight.
Probably. Like Mark Cerny is incredible. He's fantastic.
He is.
It's very relaxing, which I appreciated. They said that they've talked before that they're having a new cooling system. They unfortunately didn't really get into that, but they did say that combining the cooling system, they have a much better GPU, CPU, intelligence system in the console, so that it's going to work in tandem with the cooling system a little bit better to know when to ramp up a quieter system, as opposed to the jet engine that PS4s and especially PS4 Pros have right now. Did talk a little bit about PS4 backwards compatibility. PS4 only was the thing that he kept pushing. He made mention very specifically that AMD and Sony worked together to implement core-level logic and features from the PS4 into the PS5's processors. Sorry. He said specifically that he wanted to do that because he didn't want the slim version of the PS5 that comes a couple of years down the road to pull out PS4 backwards compatibility. It's going to be baked into the root, like the core of the PS5. So that's going to be a feature that exists throughout the lifetime of the PS5. They said that Sony has tested the 100 most played titles across the PS4, and the majority of those are going to be ready for launch. In the meantime, they're working through the other 3,900 titles that came out on the PS4 and trying to make those work. The majority of why they're focusing on testing so much is because they're finding, and for anyone that owned PS2s, you'll probably remember this, a lot of times with PS2, when you put a PS1 game in and you turned like the increased load speeds on, some games just went weird. Like they just got really weird with that speed. So they're trying to make sure that when the console comes out, if the game needs a patch or it needs to handle the new speed of the processor and the hard drive and the RAM and all that stuff is ready for the most popular games, and then they can kind of address the other stuff. Most games nowadays, you increase the clock speed, you increase the load times, they work fine. Some of them are just gonna get weird. The last thing he really hit is the one thing that really went over my head is their Tempest 3D audio tech. I am going to be honest with you, I sort of don't get it. It sounds like audio is going to be way better, and it's going to be way more specific to you and how your ears are and how your brain hears sounds. But I feel like it's one of those things where unless you have it in the console, in your house, like with your setup, it just sounds like a lot of tech demo-y technical stuff.
Also, like, I mean, I didn't watch this, but does it mention at all what happens for when there's multiple people listening to the same thing? Is it only going to be for one person? Like, for example, if I was sitting at home watching a movie with my wife, would I think, "Oh, this sound is so good," and my wife's like, "I can barely hear anything. What's
she's
going
like
on?"
2 feet over to the side. Yeah. Well,
yes.
And he admitted that this is. It sounds like it's technology that Sony as a whole is really working on, as opposed to just it being a PlayStation thing. So it sounds like it's a technology that's just getting off the ground, and that they're going to work on over time and sort of over the next couple of years as the technology and as the PS5 sort of matures. So it sounds like it's not one of those things where it's like ray tracing off and on. That's a big difference. 1080p to 4K. That's a big difference. It's this thing that's kind of expanding. Sounds like it's one of those things that he really loves, that he just wanted to talk about, and everyone's like, yeah, go crazy, Mark. Like, you love 3D audio, go talk about it. That's fine. All right, so let's get into... There's still a whole bunch of other details, but I think we can talk about them as we go through the differences between the two consoles here. So, CPU. Xbox Series X has a 8-core Zen 2 processor with all the cores at 3.8 gigahertz. PlayStation 2 has 8-core Zen 2 cores at 3.5 gigahertz. So PlayStation 5 looks like they're going to be focusing on variable frequency a little bit more, where Xbox seems like it's going to be more of a, hey, here's a super beefy processor for you. GPU, here we go with the teraflops. The Xbox Series X has 12 teraflops at 1.8 gigahertz. PlayStation 5 has 10.28 teraflops at 2.23 gigahertz. So, again, probably another one of those things where they both kind of equal out at the end of the day. We'll see once multi-platform stuff comes out, in holiday when it launches. Microsoft was touting that they have a 7-nanometer enhanced die process, which means something to about 10 of us. I think that stuff's really interesting, but it's not interesting enough to talk about. Both consoles have 16 gigs of GDDR6 memory, so they're the same there. Memory bandwidth, 10 gigs on the Series X is 560 gigs a second. 6 of it is at like 336 gigs a second. And Sony has all of it at 448 gigs a second. The long and the short of it, that's stupid fast. Either one of them, it's the same amount of RAM, it's still stupid fast either way.
Yeah.
Internal storage. Here's the rub. Microsoft has a 1 terabyte custom NVMe SSD. They've been pushing this forever. That's a standard thing. Sony has an custom 825 gig NVMe SSD. I'm not going to lie, this one went a little bit over my head because I don't understand hard drive pipelines well enough, but Mark Cerny was saying that when... Here's his direct quote. With 12-channel interface, the most natural size that emerges for an SSD is 825 gigs. He says, while it's tempting to add more flash, it, quote, certainly doesn't come cheap, and we have a responsibility to our gaming audience to be cost-effective with regards to what we put in the console, end quote. On the surface, I can agree with that. It just seems really weird. You wouldn't just push that to a terabyte. Like, I'm not sure if you get really weird. We'll talk about I/O throughput here in a second. I don't know if you scooch that up to a terabyte, if you lose your speeds because of how they're making the pipelines.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems a little bit odd that 825 would be the one they settle on for the console, and it just 1 terabyte with the current consoles is small, and we'll talk about expansion here in a minute. 825 on paper feels really small.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's on today's settings. That's a whole Modern Warfare game that you can't download.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, I've got 4 live service games installed on my hard drive at once, and that's probably the 500 gigs of my hard drive. Like, the stuff is just really big, and I'm not sure if that hard drive size gets more manageable in the next generation because of advanced. Mark Cerny spent a bunch of time talking about asset compression, and there's some next level and next gen asset compression and like hard drive compression and stuff like that. I'm not sure if that gets any significant gains. I feel like if it did, they probably would have mentioned like, hey, Destiny 2, Modern Warfare Warzone is 100 gigs right now, but on PS5 we were able to get that down to 45 gigs because of this compression. They didn't give any numbers of that, so either that's not firm or it's like 100 gigs 85. It's not a significant enough thing. The big difference here, and I'm suspecting the size of the SSD on the PS5 is the cause of this. The I/O throughput, so basically the raw ultimate hard drive speed for the Series X is going to be 2.4 gigs a second. For raw, just about 5 gigs a second compressed. That's compared to most of this is about tenfold speeds over what we're getting right now with a standard hard drive. So these are significantly faster speeds. Over on the PS5, they're getting 5.5 gigs raw and 8 to 9 gigs a second compressed. So I wonder if that's part of the reason why they're focusing on this particular speed, this particular size, is because something about the dark magic of all this stuff coming together is getting double the speed of whatever Microsoft is doing from a hard drive perspective. That 825 is sort of sticking in my craw as like, this is such a specific design decision, and it's not like 1.825, not 1.5 or like 1.35 or something. I'm assuming that's why they did that, because they could. It's a little bit smaller, but the speed gains are incredibly significant.
Or it could just be something as simple as, hey, at 826 indexing breaks. Oops.
Right. Or like once you push past 825, that's where we start to lose a significant amount of money on production. Then, that's a significant problem. And then in a couple of years, they'll put out a 2 terabyte version and it'll still have the same speed and all that, and it won't be a problem. Expandable storage. This is a weird one. Microsoft is going to be selling 1 terabyte expansion cards. Let's think about them as like PS1 memory cards that you plug into the back of the console, and that is there's like a giant slot on the back. That's the your hard drive storage expansion option. To clarify, and we'll get to it here in a second, for Xbox Series X games. This is really interesting. They're spending a lot of time saying like, well, the cooling and the heatsink and all that is in this module, and it's all just taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. But it is really weird to see like a memory card thing coming back, especially after the PS4 and the Xbox One went out of their way to support off-the-shelf stuff. And the Switch too as well, where it's like, pick up any SD card that fits in this thing and it works. Like, it just, especially coming off the Vita, it's like, hallelujah, this is fantastic. Seems really weird. Sony, surprisingly, are keeping the sort of ethos that they had with the PS4, and they're just putting an NVMe SSD slot somewhere on the chassis of the PS5. So if you buy, please don't buy an NVMe SSD right now. They will not work in the PS5. They're making sure that people understand they need to meet the speed requirement, that like 5.5 gig a second speed, and nothing off the shelf will do that right now. When they do, you'll be able to take that, stick that in your PS5, and that will expand your memory. So nice to see that Microsoft is continuing, or that Sony is continuing to do the like unscrew the screw and slap some stuff in. I think that's really great. I'm a little concerned about the Microsoft standpoint, but I need to see the price first. Is this I'm assuming it's not a $50 thing, though that price would be the best. I'm hoping it's not a $200 thing. That would be a significant problem.
Yeah.
Both consoles, however, are going to support USB 3.2 hard drives, external hard drives, like the PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X. The real rub there for both consoles, it would appear, Microsoft has been a little bit more clear with this, is I think we as gamers need to be a little bit more familiar with the idea of cold storage. So both manufacturers are saying, hey, if you put games, PS5 and Series X games on an external hard drive, you can't run them from there. Microsoft's saying your old Xbox games, anything before the Series X, you can run them off the hard drive. Backwards compatibility will work fine. No big deal. So Moon's pie in the sky dream, I'm hoping, seems more like a reality of unplug this thing from the Xbox One X, plug it in the Series X, and then get back to playing games. That seems more likely, which I find really exciting. But with the smaller internal hard drive space of both of these consoles, the idea is to move games around that you maybe are potentially going to be playing for a while. Like, let's say Control. Like, we really enjoyed Control, we played it, but we're done with it until the DLC comes out. So I'm going to move that to my external hard drive so I don't have to re-download it and waste my bandwidth when it comes out in 6 months. And then when the DLC comes out, scooch that back to the internal hard drive, and then you can play it again. It's not a perfect system by any means, but I'm curious to see with the expansion slots on both of these if this is a problem for the lifetime of the console or if it's just the growing pains at the beginning. You know, does Microsoft put out in a couple of years a 4 terabyte expansion card and then you slap that in there and you're pretty much good for the rest of your console's life? Or are you kind of hot swapping 1 terabyte cards and labeling them on the front with a little sticky pad like we used to do on the PS1? You know, there's still a lot of questions there that I don't think are going to shake out here for a while. And then for both of them, optical drive is 4K UHD Blu-ray drive. I'm hoping that means that Sony will let us play 4K movies on the PS5. That would be really great.
I think they do.
I feel like they've mentioned something about that, but all the details. Microsoft has a really great like landing page for the Series X, and here's all the features, and here's all the specifics, and Sony doesn't, and that's a real missed opportunity.
I'll give Microsoft full credit where it's due here. They have made all of their stuff into small, bite-sized little videos, easy to digest, easy to understand exactly what's going on, not a whole bunch of like slides and a slideshow.
Well, and Microsoft, I think, has done a really great job. The technological leap between the current gen and this next gen, from a engineering and technology side, seems really big. So Microsoft actually has an alphabetical glossary on their website of like here's what velocity engine means, here's what ray tracing means, and here's a video showing it. Like, they have a really good thing breaking down specifically what does each one of these things mean in plain English, and then where they have videos, they've been pointing to that. So I think that's something that Sony could do really well catching up on. I don't think I'm missing anything. There's been a lot of stuff that happened all at once this week where both companies sort of dropped a whole bunch of technical speak. But I think at the end of the day, putting all like the console war stuff aside, it seems like both platforms on paper look comparable. One console has this faster than the other. One console has this faster than the other. You know, they both seem. Mike Fahey over at Kotaku wrote it that you know, in D&D terms, the Series X is a warrior, the PS5 is a rogue. You know, they're both doing the same thing, just a little bit differently. And I think I think that's the thing I've been really happy with this week with the specs is you're not looking at the PS5 coming out and being like, oh boy, they're starting on the back foot already. And I think the other thing that Mark Cerny was starting to get to a little bit with the PS5, and I don't think he did as great of a job as some developers have been doing on Twitter, is that the speed of the pipelines allows developers to not have to preload and cache assets in RAM as much as they have in previous generations, because RAM was orders of magnitude faster than spinning disk hard drives. So a lot of what developers are saying, and Mark Cerny was talking about it, where it's like a lot of games, modern games since, you know, the 360, especially with like Mass Effect 1, where it's like, this elevator is a loading screen, and you know, like you're making twisty, turny roads in a forest because the players can't see assets that are still loading off in the distance. And what a lot of developers are saying is that these technologies significantly change how they're going to make worlds in games because they don't have an asset loading bottleneck anymore. So you won't see the twisty roads, you won't see these loading elevators, you won't see, you know, Anya, talk to me, and you're walking slowly through a very small room. You know?
Yes, you will.
I mean, hopefully with Gears 5, I'd like to see that. You got to have Jack rip that door. But they're saying that these speed improvements aren't just, hey, existing games load faster. That's going to be what backwards compatibility will do with these consoles, but their design changes significantly in a way that there are so many developers on Twitter that are so excited about the possibility of this stuff getting so much faster from a design standpoint. And I think that's the part that is exciting, because normally from a lot of devs, they're just like, I mean, the GPU is faster and the CPU is faster, and we'll be able to make bigger games. Yeah, see the mountain go over there. But it seems like they're excited in a much different way.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's exciting. Yeah, it's exciting times that we now have all of the numbers, and we have all the details, and we have the hard physical stuff, so that I think when we get to E3 Direct here in a couple of months, I think that's the part where it's like, here's all the sizzle reel, gigabytes and teraflops, but we've already got that stuff down. Here's all the games. Like, here's all the cool stuff that's going to run on all this cool new hardware. They can focus on that.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. If, like we were talking about last week, if we were the CEO of video games, that would probably be my focus is, well, we got all the numbers out of the way. Here's all the cool stuff you're going to play when the console launches on date, price. Because they both haven't announced that. And Sony still hasn't shown what the console looks like. So, you know, Digital Foundry finally explained the size of the Series X in a way that I understand. It is 2 GameCubes with the Game Boy Advance adapter on them stacked on top of each other. That's the exact size. The height and depth and width of the console is the exact size. So I was like, okay, cool. That's big, but not that big.
You do know that when everyone was giving them issues over the reveal of that thing, they did do a fridge for scale post on the Xbox Twitter account.
I really like that because
right next to the Xbox.
I thought that was fob washed from the Giant Bomb community. I was like, that's funny. Oh, that's Xbox. Okay.
Yes.
They're just leaning into it. That's really good. So this is probably the last time we're really going to talk specifically about tech specs, because that's kind of the consoles, and that's not super exciting. So everyone shut up about teraflops. Moving on to the next news story, we've got a lighter one here to wrap a show out with. Museum of Play has unveiled their 2020 World Video Game Hall of Fame inductees. So they did another 12 this year. And I think they did a really great job on this list this year. So let's start in alphabetical order as they did. 2001's Bejeweled. I don't think you can argue about that one. Massively huge.
Nope.
1981's Centipede, also a great arcade classic. Also didn't realize that came out in the year of my birth. I've played too much Centipede because that game is great. 1981's Frogger, which that's another one where it's like, yeah, get in there, Frogger. Hop on in. 1997's GoldenEye 007. This is the N64 one. From a historical perspective, I feel like that's got to be one that's in there. It's like, for the same reason that the first Halo game would be in there. It sort of revolutionized what a first-person shooter on consoles can be.
Yeah.
2005's Guitar Hero, which I feel like we don't even need to talk about that one. 1984's King's Quest, which is massively important for probably about 20 different reasons. Same with 2009's Minecraft, which I was surprised wasn't there in the first year, but it's finally there now. 1993's NBA Jam, which is also another one where it's like, yeah, you get on in there. That's a great game. Most importantly, 1997's Nokia Snake, which is, I think, a foundational mobile game where it's just like, oh, we can play games on our phone. Oh no, I've played too many games on my phone.
Yep.
Yeah.
Way too many.
Yeah. 2001 Super Smash Bros. Melee, which is not a series I have much fondness for. 2009's Uncharted 2.
Shouldn't be Melee.
Yeah, it probably shouldn't.
OG Smash.
Yeah, I think that one's probably... You could probably argue, for a million years about all of them, but I think the first Smash was sort of like, oh, your Nintendo characters are fighting each other. Like, what's happening here? Like, it was a real reveal. It was very strange.
This is why it should be that and not stupid Melee.
I agree. 2009's Uncharted 2, which I think is a good game for a Naughty Dog game, and 1995's Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, which is a game I still really love. I played that a lot in grade school. That's a really great game. Yeah. So all in all, I think you can, except for Smash, and then that's just a particular of it. I think that's a really great list again this year. I think they've been picking. I think this is the third year they've done it, third or fourth year. And I feel like they haven't sort of made a mistake any of those years. So 2 thumbs up, Museum of Play. And we've been recording for a super long time, so we're going to skip questions for this week and wrap up the show. Thank you for listening. TVGP.tv, everywhere to find and follow us on the right-hand side of the page. Patreon.com/E1M1. The ones are numbers. All the behind-the-scenes early access, $5 a month is the important one. As we talked about at the top of the show, brand new episode of Game Club is out right now. We'll be having a brand new episode of Old Dog New Flicks coming out. I can't open up my calendar, but probably this week. And I think that's it. So we'll see you all next week. Bye.
Ciao.
Bye.
All right, Imp, hit me with your titles.
I cannot afford 100 gigs.
Yes.
Gran Turismo 1 wheels were rounder. And I am very disappointed in myself. Fodder demons. Blood punching. all the Strainies stuff on Facebook. Here's a shotgun. It's green. Get it. And the final blank, and then in parentheses, countdown.
1 second. Okay. Moon?
Okie doke. Generational wishes. I cannot afford 100 gig. For the demons. Whipped out my paddles.
I'm glad someone else
Maybe a
caught that.
veto?
No, I'm keeping on because I'm glad you caught that too. If it was just me, I might have vetoed.
I didn't write it because I figured it was going to get vetoed.
Nope.
Say we all got it. Open up the possibility space. Rip myself off the couch. Take the scenic route. It got worse. And Dadstiny.
Put myself off the couch and Dadstiny. All right, I cannot afford 100 gigs right now, but I could chop out the 100 gigs. I hate Fantasy Zone. Whipped out my paddles. Doom 3 in parentheses 2023. If you let it sit like an old car. Fodder Demons. Rip myself off the couch and Dadstiny. 100 gigs and whipped out my paddles are both the two I checked.
Yeah,
those are my front runners.
Yeah, those two and Dadstiny.
Yeah.
I'm game for whipped out my paddles. Like I said, the only reason I didn't write it was because I figured it was going to get vetoed. But since you guys are on board,
I'm fine with that one.
I mean, it is a solid title. It's pretty good. All right, let me know when you guys are ready.
I am.
I'm ready, I guess.
Okay. Starting in 3, 2, 1. This is That Video Game Podcast, episode 648 from March 23rd, 2020. Whipped out my paddles.
I need my accessories.
And then we played Pong.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Thank you for joining us live. We appreciate and love every one of you. And we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Goodbye. Stay safe.